Champagnetrumpet.com, teaching inspiration and products to help you play your best. Hey guys, welcome back to Champagnetrumpet.com, where we seek to give you teaching, inspiration, and products to help you play your best. My name is David Champagne, and I'm hoping to be your favorite trumpet teacher. You know, this is our third free lesson of the week. You can find them all on the YouTube channel, which is Champagne Trumpet. Also find them on our website, which is champagnetrumpet.com, and here on Facebook, facebook.com/Champagne Trumpet page. Now, today I want to talk about something that's really important for us as trumpet players, and also applies really well to brass players in general. You know, every one of us realize that we have to have somewhat of a consistent daily maintenance trumpet routine. And one thing I remember coming up when I was working on my undergrad is that I would get into the practice room early, and the first thing I'd start doing is long tones and slurs and these sorts of things. And the sax player would get in the room next to me and just start burning through some stuff, and I'd say, wow, no wonder he's got such good vocabulary. I've got to spend all much time on this. But you know what? It's worth it, because a trumpet is the greatest instrument ever. Hope you agree. But so now, you know what I've noticed is that when we tend to go through our daily practice routine, our maintenance routine, whatever you want to call it, our fundamentals, I see a lot of players just kind of, bide their time, go through the motions, and not really think about what it is they're trying to accomplish. Going through a couple of lines of slurs without really thinking about the technique isn't going to help you all that much. What you're going to do is you're going to lock in some bad habits. If you are working on Clark studies, for instance, if you're working on Arbin's articulation, whatever it is you're working on, if you don't have an intentional goal that you're trying to reach, all you're doing is locking in whatever comes naturally to you. If you're one of the lucky ones and what comes naturally to you is perfect technique that works really well, more power to you. But for the rest of us, we've got to be careful, because what comes naturally generally is not always the best thing for us. So I'm going to use, as an example today, I'm going to use Clark studies. Okay, so I teach at a couple of colleges as an adjunct, and I'm obviously going to give fundamentals as some of the homework and some of the weekly work for my students. What I always try to tell them is make sure you have decided in your mind what it is you are trying to accomplish every time you play these Clark studies, because there are a lot of things that you can be working on. Good, solid, and consistent airstream, a good balance between your aperture and your airstream, finger technique, wrist position, posture, steadiness of your sound and of your jaw and throat and tongue, and not moving around too much and manipulating the airstream for every single note you're trying to play. These are all things that you can accomplish that will increase the technical ability across the board with whatever it is you're trying to play. And so let me just give some examples. So for instance, let's say we're going to do Clark number 1 in the key of F. If I assign this to a student, first thing I realize is going to happen is just going to kind of play it through. Make sure that I have the fingerings right. You know what? You got to make sure you have the fingerings right. But this is a gold mine. Arturo Sandoval once told me, we were talking about trumpet one time, not trying to be a name dropper, but it's a really great thing he told me. And he said the Clark studies are like medicine. They're like medicine for your chops. They're like medicine for your technique. And so when you play, you want to be thinking of a couple of things. When I'm doing Clark studies, the first thing I'm looking at is my finger position and the usage of the angle of my wrist. So when I'm playing, fingers on top of the buttons, right, on the valve caps at all times, never coming off. Man, you watch videos of John Faddis playing, it's eerie how his fingertips are stuck to the valve caps, right? Wrist is straight, so your hand can work in a natural way. And when we play, we want to make sure to pop the valves through the airstream. At first, the point is not to play it as fast as you can. The point is to play it at a controlled volume, and the point is to play it with perfect finger technique, as good as you can get it. Now, there's a balance that comes as well with your air column. When you are playing even that range of a tritone that you're playing through in that study, it can become a real habitual problem with trumpet players. We'll naturally do a lot of manipulation here at the base of the tongue, at the back of the throat, with the chops themselves, in order to make sure every note is in some way perfect that we've predetermined in our head. It has to be done this way. But for me, I believe that the best way to approach this is if you are playing a long tone. Okay, let the air column stay consistent. Try to keep your chops as rock solid as possible, as little movement as possible, right? We want this efficiency. The less movement that's happening when you're working on your technique, the less things that take place, the less variables there are, and the less mistakes can happen, right? So as we're working on it, we want to think about the cleanliness of our fingers, right? We also want to think about the fact that our air is not changing. One thing you could do is this. Take your fingers, put them on your lead pipe, and then play that exercise. While you're doing that, it seems kind of silly, but it's a good way to trick your brain. This is what my airstream needs to feel like, and your fingers are still playing the exercise. And when you put your fingers back on, another concept I like to think about while I'm playing these technical exercises is that the valves, as I pop them quickly, they're never in between. They're either up or they're down, but they're never anywhere in between with one mechanical movement, either up or down, is I like to feel like they are slicing through the air column. That is a good way to make sure that I blow through what I'm doing technically here in the valve casings. Another thing that's really helpful as you move through the Clark book, you play this one for instance. See that right there, that trill C to D? Man, that is trumpet trouble waiting to happen. And so if I were to be having trouble, for instance, playing that exercise, my trumpet teacher says, man, I want you to learn that for me, bring it back. I get the fingerings together, but I have no control over the C and the D. Because I'm crossing really a break, the trumpet version of a break as I go. If I can't control where I am as I flap this first valve around, that is an opportunity for me to think about what I'm doing with my airstream. Because that's going to fix trills all over the place. As soon as I learn how to use my air, I'll be able to do so much more with so much more precision. You crack less notes, you'll slot better, right, in all the various partials, and so I can work it slowly. So rather than play the whole exercise, I can work that little bit slowly. Everything happening in a mechanical way with the littlest movement possible and the least change possible for more efficient playing. You remember, you've probably heard this all the time now, right? Practice makes perfect. And then someone will say, haha, I got you. Practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes permanent perfection. Right? So whether you are doing slurs, whether you're doing Clark studies or articulation studies, or working on a particular piece of literature that you are trying to learn as well for a performance, always be thinking about what trumpet fundamental you are trying to clean up and work on. You will get so much more done, and you can actually end a practice day with the knowledge that you are a better player this 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours later than you were when you took the horn out of its case at the beginning of the session. Isn't that a good feeling? So remember, this is David Champagne with Champagnetrumpet.com, where we seek to give you teaching, inspiration, and products to help you to play your best. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Please share this if you're on social media right now, and click the bell notifications. That way, after you've subscribed, every time I make a new free video of the week, you'll be able to get it. Also want to let you know, just be about 10 days now to release our first course that will be available for purchase, and it is called Clean Technique. That will be available not only with videos, but with accompanying PDFs and music, and accompanying shorter videos with practice sessions to work along with after working on the lesson itself. So guys, I hope you have a great time practicing. Hope you do your very best, and I will see you next time. Thanks.